Ladies and gentlemen, today we have an amazing video to get into because we have some pretty cool updates, and then, it starts snowballing into like some smaller leaks, and then we get into some massive leaks, and yeah, it's just all very exciting stuff. So let's go and get right into this video. So before we actually get into this video, a few announcements. Number one, we will be doing a huge Donkey Kong Bonanza stream the day the game comes out. I'll do a review that day, a stream that day, and a giveaway of the game that day. We're also streaming weekly. It's a lot of fun, so the Discord is in the description. Turn notifications on. They're kind of random, but we're having so much fun, and there's actually quite a bit of us in there, so that's pretty cool. And then also, every single Saturday, I give away multiple eShop gift cards. For the entire year I'm doing this, and then I'm also giving away multiple Switch 2s this year. The first one I'll be giving away at the end of this month. So if you want to win some eShop gift cards, or potentially a Switch 2, all you have to do is be a subscriber, like and comment to help the algorithms, and follow my social medias, and keep this community growing, or help this community grow, because it's turning into something beautiful. It's amazing. I'm so happy you guys are all a part of it, and I would like to give back in any way that I possibly can. Okay, we got all that out of the way. We have a very interesting video. Let's go ahead and get into it. The first thing we're going to do is go over a few small updates, which, they're kind of small, but I think they're also pretty substantial at the same time. One retailer that has been out of the equation as far as the Switch 2 goes is Amazon. They were nowhere to be found when the pre-orders went live, at least in America. I know in the UK and the rest of Europe, I believe you could shop on Amazon to get a Switch 2, but in America, there was this weird beef with Amazon and Nintendo, where allegedly some retailers were selling like Nintendo first party stuff cheaper than Nintendo was, and Nintendo wasn't happy with that or something like that. But Nintendo is back on Amazon. Now, we've seen some first party games pop up. Currently, you can even buy a Switch 2 Pro controller on Amazon, but finally, Switch 2s themselves are starting to show up on Amazon directly from Nintendo. Now, it says new on Amazon, and you can't buy it. It says available by invitation. So this makes me think within, the next 30 days, you'll be able to buy Switch 2s directly on Amazon. And I just think that's pretty good news. And then quickly, a game we've all been waiting for is the Tony Hawk Pro Skater 3 and 4 remake. I've been skateboarding my entire life. I love Tony Hawk. I will eventually pick this one up, but I was wondering, should I pick up the Switch 2 version, or should I pick up the Switch 1 version? Which one is cheaper? Will I be able to upgrade to the Switch 2 version if I get the Switch 1 version? And allegedly, Tony Hawk has a free Switch 2 upgrade. And Activision is not telling anybody this because, they want you to buy the Switch 2 version, which I'm going to assume is more expensive. But if you get the Switch 1 version, you can get a free Switch 2 upgrade. So, yeah, I just want to give you guys that information because that's pretty cool. Now, let's start getting into some leaks. And we're going to decipher some stuff. Some of it, is just laid out for us. And some of it's like, well, what's really going on here? The first one is a game that we know is being made. I think it might come out this year, but at the latest, probably the beginning of next year. And that is Assassin's Creed Black Flag, the remake of this game. I just beat this game the week leading up to the Switch 2 release. It looked amazing on my Switch OLED. It still held up incredibly well. I think it's one of the best things Ubisoft has ever done, and I am highly excited for a remake. Ubisoft is trying to be coy and act like it's there, but it's not there, or they're working on it, or maybe they are, maybe they aren't, but everybody knows it's being worked on. And they just updated the Steam page with some new features for this game, which are not a part of the original game, which points to it being the remake. And some people are pointing to one of those features, thinking it could be for the Switch 2. So Assassin's Creed Black Flag Steam page updated with brand new features not part of the original game. The new additions mentioned which are not part of the original release are custom volume controls, stereo sound, surround sound, mouse only option, adjustable difficulty, and save anytime. Now, obviously, this is a Steam page that was updated. So when you see mouse only option, you would say, well, that's for PC, right? That makes perfect sense. But a lot of people are thinking that this actually might be pointing towards something to do with the Switch 2 with mouse controls. Sure, that could be a reach, you know what I mean? Regardless, I think this game is coming to the Switch 2. It's Assassin's Creed, it's Ubisoft, it's Nintendo. Of course this is coming to the Switch 2, right? It is so strange though, to see mouse controls or mouse only option, or anything to do with a mouse. And now, you don't just only roll out like PC. That's the only option. It's like, yeah, PC or I guess the Switch 2 now. Very strange. I've said it once, I'll say it again. I have not used the mouse controls. I don't know if I ever really will. Maybe with Metroid Prime 4. But even then, I feel like, it'd be cool for 5 minutes and then I'll move on to playing it regular. But interesting stuff, right? Now let's get into something very interesting that's, it's kind of confirmed, but at the same time, it's like, again, being coy. It's like, well, is it being confirmed? Is this happening? Yeah, it's happening. One of the most important companies when it comes to Nintendo games is Monolith Soft. If I'm not mistaken, they helped work on Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, and then, the Xenoblade games, and then something else that I'm missing. But yeah, we have this article right here. Xenoblade developer Monolith Soft is working on a large-scale RPG for the Nintendo Switch 2. I wonder what that could be. Monolith Soft Tokyo is currently recruiting developers to work on a large-scale role-playing game for the Nintendo Switch 2. The studio has been explaining what each of the roles does on Twitter or X or whatever, with the aim of attracting fresh talent. Earlier this year, known insider Nash Weedle hinted that Monolith Soft's next title will be a sequel to Xenoblade Chronicles X. Back in May 2022, the leaker had correctly leaked the existence of Xenoblade Chronicles X Definitive Edition. So yeah, that's actually something pretty major to leak. I have still not played this game or got the game. I played somebody else's copy for a few hours, but I need to pick this game up. Whenever I can find it on sale, I will. Whenever you think about Xenoblade games, I do think Xenoblade Chronicles X is the most accessible one. Even myself, I can't get into other Xenoblade games. I play them. I think they're amazing. They don't hook me in. Xenoblade Chronicles X, it just does it for some reason, right? I think the remaster is one of the greatest things Nintendo has ever released. So a sequel to that makes perfect sense. I don't know how the story will work. Will it be the same character? I don't know how that would possibly work. But I think that is really cool. That this could potentially be the next Xenoblade game and not Xenoblade Chronicles 4. So time will tell, but I'm reading this article and they're saying they think it will be released sometime around 2026 or 2027, so that would definitely make this a Switch 2 exclusive, which is a good thing, right? Yes, I want them to support the Switch as long as possible because there's over 100 million people still playing the Switch, and I don't think them supporting the Switch will hold back the Switch 2. But could you imagine how great this would look on the Switch 2 and run, and all the possibilities? Man, this sounds exciting. Now, we have some current games that could be coming out. Nintendo Direct, I still think it's happening this month. A lot of people are saying, oh, it didn't happen this week, or it's not happening this week, then it's not happening. We're in the beginning of July. This could easily be a second half of July thing, which I think would make perfect sense, right? Map out some stuff, and then the next Direct we'll get is in September. We'll get Donkey Kong on the 17th, sometime after that, a Direct, and then another Direct in September. It just makes sense. Nintendo just trademarked some games, and they are very interesting. So Nintendo has reportedly trademarked several titles: Metroid Prime 3 and Hunters, Hotel Dusk, Drag X Drive, Magical Star Sign, in various countries. So we know about a few of these games. Metroid Prime 3 and Hunters is the one that is, sticking out the most to me because allegedly, or not allegedly, I think people are thinking that Metroid Prime 1 Remastered will get a Switch 2 upgrade. And if I had to bet, I would say sure. Now we know Metroid Prime 4 is coming. We need Metroid Prime 2 and 3 before we get Metroid Prime 4. I think that makes perfect sense. Me personally, I don't think it's going to be remastered, but I'm the odd one out. 99% of people saying if those games do show up, they will be remastered. I'm thinking they will just be ports. I feel like that's so much work to do, especially if they're the quality that Metroid Prime 1 Remastered was. That's almost a remake. It feels incredible. So I feel like that's so much work to do for 2 more games, plus be working on Metroid Prime 4. But I could be wrong, and I probably am, but I just feel like don't get my hopes up, you know what I mean? And then it not be that. So in my opinion, I think those are ports. If they're trademarking these now, and these other games that we know about that are coming out this year, why else would these games not be coming this year? And when else do you announce those? Well, at a Nintendo Direct. I don't know, man. It's starting to seem more and more likely. Now, we're about to go over some crazy leaks. I saved the craziest leaks for last. We know about a Pokemon Presents happening this month. We have a leak for that. That seems very, 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 very credible because it's such a letdown. Every time there's a Pokemon Presents, you're like, man, is this going to happen? Those presentations suck more times than not. So this Pokemon Presents leak seems very credible. Then we have a crazy Nintendo Direct leak, which kind of has some Pokemon news tied into it, which is really what I want to focus on, but there's some other stuff in there as well. Hello, I have news to share on the upcoming Pokemon Presents. A new Champions trailer, no release date, says no info at World competition. That is like the new Pokemon Stadium game, I think. A lot of people are thinking free to play, but I think some other leaks came out saying you're actually gonna have to pay for it. New mobile app called Pokemon Pokédex Mobile, full Pokédex, has new lore on Pokemon. There are features to Pokemon in your room, lots of more small features. Very, very believable. Especially if we see Nintendo making apps and all these other people making apps. New TCG Pocket Set, Golden Flames, and Silver Waves. Can now trade all rarity, Pokemon Sleep Pro Mode, Paradox added to Go, some other Pokemon stuff. New physical TCG set, name is already known. And some other trailers down here. Whatever. That's what I'm saying. It seems pretty believable. Now look at this crazy ass Nintendo Direct leak. This says it's happening on the 10th. That would be the day you're watching this video. Probably not happening, but it's still pretty fun to go over, and maybe this could still happen, you know, sometime this month. Five Nights at Freddy's, I think this game just got a new version or something. I don't really pay attention to it, but maybe something with that. Big moment up next, Miyamoto introduces a direct revealing the Mario 40th anniversary logo, saying they have many celebrations planned for the Red Plumber, including a first teaser of a brand new Mario Sunshine game. Don't even get me started. I would go crazy. I would throw my computer out the window. That is my favorite Mario game of all time. Blah, 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 blah. Something with King K. Rool in Donkey Kong Bonanza, which this has leaked quite a bit recently. Mario Kart World will announce its big 2.0 update, all themed around Donkey Kong Bonanza. Could happen. Genshin Impact on the Switch 2 finally. Wasn't Genshin Impact supposed to come to the Switch in like 2020 or something? Next up, huge segment where Sakurai takes center stage. He talks about he'll never take a break, and there's actually here to show two projects. The first one obviously being Kirby Air Riders, and then he acknowledges what we all want to see. The screen fades, and it's a new Smash Ultimate Switch 2 edition with new fighters and some other stuff. Maybe, maybe not. Atlas segment, Persona 3 Reload, and Metaphor on the Switch 2. I need those. Persona 4 Revival trailer, as well as Persona 5 Royal Tactics and Strikers, all getting paid upgrades. We'll see. Now for a weird one, Nintendo announced Mario Galaxy 1 and 2 for Switch 2 as an HD release, but the gimmick is that they've reworked it so both games are playable from Comet Observatory. Strange, but you know, you never know. And then Galaxy would actually work really good with the mouse controls. Pokemon Director shows up, quick teaser from Legendaries from Black and White, then Red, Blue, and Yellow, and Emerald will announce for Nintendo Switch Online. Yeah, I've seen somewhere else talking about Black and White remakes, so maybe that will show up. I don't know. Paper Mario Pencil Sound. Maybe this is a new Paper Mario where you draw stuff. Maybe. Crazy. Metroid Prime 4 gets a release date, and then 2 and 3 re-release. But it's not looking as good as Prime 1. I told you. I think that's the possibility. I know this is a random ass leak that, you know, nobody probably believes, but it's still fun, and that supports my theory. Even though this direct is probably 100% bullshit, but hey, I'll take any support I can get. Sizzle Reel with more games getting free upgrades, as well as third party, Xenoblade, Pikmin 3, Mario Wonder, Sonic Superstars, Silksong. They showed again, Final Fantasy VII Remake, and the one more thing is a reveal of Earthbound Claymation Remake and Mother 3 finally coming to Game Boy Advance Nintendo Switch Online outside of Japan. That would be crazy. That is truly one of the craziest Nintendo Direct leaks I've ever seen. 99% probably bullshit, but it is still very fun to go over. If one of these things comes true, then I mean, that would be pretty cool. I skipped over a lot of stuff when I was reading it because my brain can't comprehend all the small writing right here, but we'll see, right? Regardless, it's fun to go over these leaks. I love them all. Take them all with a grain of salt, but as long as dumbass people are still writing random stuff like this on the internet, then people like me are going to keep talking about it because I like doing it, and I hope you like doing it with me. Pretty fun stuff. But ladies and gentlemen, what do you think about this? Because your opinion matters most. So in the comments below, I would love to hear from you guys. If you made it to this part of the video and you're new here, hit a like and subscribe. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram so we can keep our communities growing. eShop gift card giveaways every single week. Switch 2 giveaways starting the end of this month. Streams every single week. Donkey Kong stream coming up. We're on our way to 20,000 subscribers. Get in while the getting is good. Start on the ground floor. We have a really cool community here, and I think we're on to some amazing stuff in the future. But you guys know me. I will see you very soon with a new video. Peace out.